I feel like that's where our value as a coach is coming to now. Is like we're just trying to
Yeah.
close the gap of understanding and giving the information that they just need, right? As opposed to
Yeah.
like losing weight, building muscle, protein. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna get overloaded.
Yeah. Like I could do my own taxes, but I'm not trying to go to jail. So I'm gonna pay someone who knows what they're doing to do it.
Yeah, I was about to say something, but I probably will go to jail. I do that.
Welcome back, baby. Yeah,
Welcome
welcome
back.
back for us. Listeners are missing it. On today's show, rubbing my eyes, man. I messed up. On today's show,
Still waking
talking
up over
about
here.
still waking up, bro. I'm twisted up. We're getting into the difference between a program for weight loss and a program for muscle gain, or what we say all the time, building bigger muscles. We never say the word hypertrophy on this show, and I like that we're committed to not saying hypertrophy for some weird reason. But before we get into the nitty gritty, JT, what's good, man? How you doing?
Good, man. You tell me. You've been all over the UK. Let's get some highlights. What's
Yeah, man.
it's
I
like over there?
was in Ireland for a friend's wedding. Passed through Northern Ireland, took a ferry to Scotland for a little buddy moon.
Body
Myself, my wife, my wife, and the two of our friends just joint honeymooned it
moon.
in Scotland, and it was absolutely electric. A
Nice.
week in Scotland, went to Edinburgh. Now my new favorite city in the world. I knew nothing about it going into it. Shout out Andy
That's in
Ritchie
Scotland.
for that's in Scotland. Shout out Andy Ritchie, the boy, for putting
What
me
up,
on to
bro?
some what up, bro? Some
What up,
great
bro?
recommendations out there. And then I went to the Highlands in Scotland, and that was super sweet. They have hairy cows. They have beautiful views. Uh,
Dope.
yeah, a lot of whiskey, a lot of beef, a lot of potatoes.
All right. I mean, like,
So
what other things do you need to get bigger muscles, right?
that's a recipe for bigger muscles if I ever heard one. So I'm coming in, landed yesterday, coming in a little jet lag, a little bit of a sinus infection, but we out here, flu game,
Yeah, this is what you call pushing performance.
pushing
No matter
performance.
what,
Listen, if
doing it.
Tyrese Maxey can do it, I can do it.
Ah, man. R.I.P. I'm sorry. Sixers and Lakers fans rejoicing right now. That's not rejoicing, but let's what's the word I'm looking for? Mourn together.
It's more together. It's a safe
Yeah.
space for Sixers and Lakers fans. We suck. It's the same shit
Oh,
every year.
Maxie's nice.
Nice, dude. He's so good. He's
Did you see
so
that
good at
game?
basketball. He's so good at basketball. He's so
Twice.
fun to watch. He's so
Yeah.
fast. Like that,
Hmm.
like he accelerates so well. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. No, he's gonna have a breakout. If it wasn't this year, he's gonna have another breakout season next year.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I think people in the league know, like, he was an all-star. I don't know how much the general fans of the NBA know. But I'm with you. Hopefully they can learn.
No, they're gonna learn. Man, it's tough. I wanted to see Sixers push through it, but another conversation we'll have on our off topic pulling cues episode.
We talk about our thoughts on the current NBA.
Yeah, we'll talk about GOAT stuff later. We don't need to have that beef right now.
We don't have GOAT beef because your guy's Kobe. So
I mean, I guess if it's not with you, beef is going to be with everybody else born after 2000.
It's gonna be with everybody else, though.
If you're born after 2000, you're probably going to have beef with me saying anybody but LeBron. So
yeah, people being born after 2000 in the workforce makes me feel old as hell.
Let's move on. Let's do the topic today.
Let's go.
I'm not talking about that right now.
Just ruining your evening. All right. So this actually people get in on Threads. So if you're not on Threads yet, follow the boy JT, coachjt.mp3 on Threads, because he be threading. Is that what it's called? Threading?
I guess so.
Posting?
Tweeting just sounds normal.
Sounds right.
I'm just gonna say
Sounds right.
tweeting.
Tweeting. So this spawned from a tweet on Threads. What was said tweet?
Building muscle or losing fat or losing weight will come from pretty much the same program. I'm gonna paraphrase my own quote or whatever, but that was a simple way of saying that. But there wasn't much disagreements, and I think that's mainly because coaches follow me. Might be in an echo chamber nowadays, but I feel like if I had a bigger audience, there would be a wide variety of disagreements. But what are your thoughts here?
I think you need to get some more haters following you.
I need more haters.
We need more haters. We need more. In general, the show needs more haters. But that, again, topic for another day. Yeah, I think I wholeheartedly agree with that. When you brought it up, when you brought up the topic, when you brought up some like people asking this question, or like when you brought up people engaging with this tweet, like it's one of those things where I hadn't thought about in a while, because for me, it's like it's such an overcomplication, like fully splitting hairs to try to make those programs distinctly different for like 90 to 95% of the population. Right. So for me, when I think about training or creating a program in the gym, could be energy system development work in there as well. 90% of the time, it's going to be the exact, like bar for bar, the exact same program. The exact same program, like down to intensity, sets, reps, volume. I think the only time that things really start to get distinctly different and it starts to really matter is if you're working with high level, not intermediate, high level people who actually compete in some sort of physique competition or aesthetics based competition, like bodybuilding, like physique, like bikini, right? That's when it actually starts to matter. But again, high level.
Yeah.
So, if you're an intermediate, if you're new to the game, don't think about it.
When you say high level, do you mean training age?
And it's gotta be training age, right? So we're thinking like advanced training age, but also physique too. Like their physique is at a point where things start to matter more because less works.
Right. Yeah. And my thought started from like the higher percentage of body fat, because we're strictly talking about body composition here, right? If we want to increase, we're going to hypertrophize or gain muscle or lose weight. The higher body fat percentage you have, the less of the details matter. Right. So if you're first time, training age is 0, first time in the gym, you have a 30% body fat, I could just tell you shake all day for like 30 minutes and you're going to lose some weight. You can literally just move. Right. You will just literally lose weight by just shaking your body around, do for like 10 minutes, and then you're going to see some drop.
Yes.
Because you're moving, right?
You're moving.
And
increasing your activity level.
Literally just shake.
Just shaking it.
Obviously, no one's gonna ask somebody to do that. Not anyone sane anyway. But like, the point being, if you're not doing anything now, and you have a very high body fat percentage, and if you do something, you will lose weight / body fat. Now that being said, with what you said in terms of like the higher training age athletes or individuals / clients, the lower the body fat percentage, the more the details matter.
Yeah.
Right. So when we think about programs, when I thought about it, I'm like, a lot of it's marketing, right? If you see a program, it says weight loss, muscle gain, like a lot of it is really marketing, especially if it's not a personalized program for you. If it's a program that you can buy, nobody even knows your name that's buying it. It
Yeah.
has to be very general. So if you put on the title, muscle gain, weight loss, you're going to do one of those things, but it doesn't really matter. If you follow the
Yeah.
weight loss program and you're trying to gain muscle, you're going to gain muscle. If you follow the and vice versa. So I think we have to understand that as both coaches and um, individuals who are just trying to improve their body composition. It's a lot of it is really just marketing for one, but the lower body fat percentage you have, and if you're trying to go even lower,
Yeah.
the more of those details start to matter. So that's where my thought comes in terms of like the programs that I've seen that we see being marketed to us. If you follow it 12 weeks, which is great, you're gonna get whatever goal you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and
Strength training.
even if you're intermediate, right? You've been training seriously for 4 to 5 years. Maybe you're mid-20s and you're male, right? And you want to go, because if you're female, these numbers wouldn't make sense. But if you want to go from 7% body fat to 5% body fat, right? Like that's your goal. You want to step on stage at somewhere around 5% body fat. You could still do the exact same program, right? Where you're going to get the change is going to be diet and lifestyle,
Right.
right? Like, are we in a caloric deficit or are we in a caloric surplus, right? That is it, right? That is what dictates, are we building muscle and gaining weight, or are we losing fat, right? The strength training, again, the work can be the exact same. In one instance, right, in my caloric surplus, I'm building lean mass. That's the goal, hopefully. And in my caloric deficit, where I'm eating less than I'm expending, then I'm just maintaining muscle mass. But even, for most general population, if you're going from 0 to 1, so you're going from I haven't worked out in 5+ years to now I'm working out, you could probably, almost most definitely, build muscle and lose body mass at the same time, because you are so new to training, right? That stimulus is going to be so new to you. So again, going from, like JT, like you were saying, going from 0 to 1, from doing nothing to doing something, is going to be the biggest difference activity wise, that we have control over in the gym. So if I go from not working out to working out, sweet. Now, if I go from not working out to 2-a-days, or like extra cardio, for a lot of people, that's not really going to move the needle weight loss wise that much, right? Again, it's the lifestyle stuff. It's, what does your nutrition look like? And then what does your daily activity look like outside of the gym? So walking, standing, moving, fidgeting, all that stuff adds up. And then what's my sleep look like? It's kind of like the big three. Got me thinking about Drake and Kendrick beef. Kind of the big three of the things that are going to matter most, as far as, do you want to lose weight or do you want to build muscle?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it's all me, all me, all me. Right. It's sleep. How do I manage it? Is stress? How do I manage it? Nutrition? How do I manage that? So I would
Yeah.
like to think of those things as the Kendrick Lamar here, right? It's the foundation. You need those pieces of the house, right? In order to even talk about the actual programming side of
Yeah.
things. Otherwise, if you don't have that, it's an old house that you're building on. It's a 1900 first story house, and the second story is the program that you're talking about, and you're talking about all of the uh, minutia that comes with it. But then if you don't have the foundation, that house will eventually start to creak a little bit and fall. So, and then I don't want to assume. I think everybody's like, yeah, I know, eat better, sleep better, all that stuff. But like, you have to call it out, because it's if we're a coach, and even if we're not a coach, we're probably trying to improve our body composition ourselves. Like, can we just continue to have that conversation, not only with us, but with our clients,
Yeah.
right? Because we can't assume even they know it. Like, even if they do know it, let's constantly have conversations about it. Like, how do we do that? And we'll bring that up at the end of it. But I think it's always a reasonable call out to have these conversations, because we're going to go into like the splitting of the hairs and what actually matters, and how do you actually manipulate those variables, but create the foundation. And strength training is part of the foundation,
For sure.
right?
You have to give the stimulus
Yeah,
for
you have to
change.
think about that. So yeah, man,
But
now you got me thinking about the beef. You got me thinking
I'm
about the
sorry.
beef right now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, and I don't want people to get it twisted and think this is just for new general population training members. Like this is for beginners, this is for intermediates, this is for youth athletes, high school athletes, professional athletes. Like this is for like we're looking at training age. Like you could be a professional athlete and have only seriously trained for 4 to 6 years, and you might and probably do not need to split hairs as far as program design goes. Like yes, little pieces can be different, but it's not wholesale changes. Like on paper, they look pretty damn similar, like 90% similar. So they're more the same, way more the same than they are different, right? And I think it's so easy to get caught up in splitting hairs because it's interesting. Like it's really interesting to just dive really deep into the science of like what drives hypertrophy and what drives weight loss and like minimizing lean mass loss when you're in a weight loss phase and maximizing lean mass gain when you're in a muscle gaining phase, right? But like again, that stuff really only applies at the highest level to those advanced trainees, those aesthetics driven sports. And that concept got me thinking about some of that Daniela Spears said, Coach Danny, in our interview with her, like who are you designing a program for, right? Are you designing the program for you, or are you designing the program for them?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is something that I kind of see like across the board. Like even the other day, I saw someone posted a group of high school swimmers doing French contrast. Like for what? For they don't know their elbow from their ass. Like what are we doing here? Like just no, they do not need to do French contrast. Like
Hey man,
we're
you don't
doing
need to
too
be
much.
star no apologies. You're gonna have to write into later. So let's.
I'm not apologize for that one,
They're trying to bounce off the walls, bro. Come on, they need
bro.
some
Like
type
come
of.
on, no, they're going like they're going like 25 and the 100 free. They're just buns. They do a French contrast. I don't want to. What are we doing? What are we doing? We're
Oh my gosh.
overcomplicating stuff for no reason. Like I don't know if you know rugby strength coach. He used to be rugby strength coach, but Kier Flat. Back when now he's a business guy, but back when he used to talk about training, he always used to talk about squeezing the toothpaste from the end and not squeezing the toothpaste from the top. Right. I want to start with like the most basic stuff and work that till the wheels fall off. So I'm Dan John in it until the wheels fall off. Like I'm goblet squatting, meat and potatoes till the wheels fall off. And then maybe a little bit more complexity, maybe a little bit more complexity, maybe a little bit more complexity. And then by the time I've been in the game for 15 years, like training for 15 years, which even you and I haven't been really, like seriously, well, then I'm going to do the most complex stuff. Maybe then I do a French contrast, end of my career, like if I'm working with a pro athlete,
Right.
right? Not day one. I'm not doing triphasic day one, right? Because they don't need that to adapt. I can give them a
Right.
much simpler, less intense stimulus, get the same adaptation.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back, what do you when we always say splitting hairs, talk about minutia details. Define it. Like how do we what does that actually look like? What are we you mentioned French contrast, but like what other things that we're doing as coaches that are splitting hairs and like it does not matter
Yeah.
at
So
this point.
I think to today's topic, right? Thinking about weight loss, our strength program or our program in general for weight loss versus muscle gain. And again, just thinking about strictly the stuff we do in the gym. I think it's getting extremely granular on like what aspects of the program are doing from an adaptation standpoint. So in this instance, it would be like if I'm in a weight loss phase, I'm really focused on my total volume and controlling my total volume, knowing and planning for the fact that as I diet down, I'm going to have lower energy levels. I'm probably going to have lower strength levels. I'm probably going to have a little bit lower neural drive. So I'm going to need to manage my reps and sets as I go down. And then also for each specific individual muscle group. So like tracking how much I'm doing for each individual muscle group. And then also, focusing on how can I just maintain my lean mass as I diet down. If I'm gaining mass, I'm thinking about the opposite, right? And how can I go from my basically my my minimum effective dose to my maximum recoverable volume and track that and build that, and then maybe even think about that on different scales. So for each muscle group, track that. What's my minimum effective dose for biceps? What's my minimum effective dose for calves? Right, and track that over time. When in reality, that would be splitting hairs minutia. Like, can I take this to the nth degree, right? Can I zoom in all the way and get as granular as possible in this area? Whereas, the more simple approach would just be, hey, let's just do a balanced approach to training, right? Like, I'm just gonna hit like a pretty balanced training split, just to make sure I'm exposing people to all these different patterns, right? They're upper pulling and pushing, vertically and horizontally. They're lower pulling and pushing. Right, I'm doing some knee dominant stuff. I'm doing some hip dominant stuff, and yeah, I'm throwing in some isolation. So I'm still hitting bis and tris and shoulders and all that stuff in there as well. And it's letting it ride. I'm progressing it over time. Right, so I'm less focused on that individual minutia of it all. Right, I'm not tracking individual muscle groups. I'm not as zoomed in on my program. It's a little more simple. It's a little more general. It's a little more basic. But knowing that it doesn't need to be that zoomed in. Again, it's always like, who am I working with? Right, that dictates the level of minutia, the level of splitting hairs.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's well said. I think when when you're mentioning the frequency, that matters a lot too, right? Let's just say because early on in my career, when I was 2 or 3 years into it, I started to get I started to get really into the minutia because of how often I'd see some clients, and I'm like, wait, how am I starting to move these pieces around, right? So, for example, I get people who have not worked out before, and I see them 4 times a week, which is great. And we're talking group classes. So now I'm like, okay, squat, push, pull. How do I now put those into the program, right? So I think if we think about the frequency of how often these people will be coming for the workout, then the level of detail does start to blend or start to get focused on a little bit more, just because there's a lot of days that you're seeing them, right? You can't just be going squat, push, pull every day, carry every day. I mean, I guess you can, but like there's a point of diminishing returns and how you're, you know, able to manipulate the volume, like you mentioned. So I think it's worth talking about if you have the level of frequency of like anywhere between 4 to 7 days a week. I don't know if people have 7-day clients, but yeah, I think that matters in terms of how you're balancing the program as a whole, and the overall volume. Because when I thought about like when coaches used to poo poo, or maybe they still do, like the whole bodybuilding stuff, like chest day Monday, back day Tuesday, like it actually worked if you
Works
do it
really well. Works
if you
extremely
do
well.
it. And the problem that people started to poo poo it was because life was not considered for the people who was using it, like, right? So they get stressed towards the middle of the week, and then they stop doing it, and then it wasn't the program, it was the fact that the person's life just got in the way. So I mean, if you follow a program like that of body part splits on how it was designed to be followed, it'll work.
Yeah. And that's another, like, one, those programs work and people still 1000% do them to massive effect. And also that's not like they're not functional or anything like stupid like that. But like, so I think that's an awesome call. And two, they work just as effectively for, again, I'm not talking about advanced athletes. I'm talking about also, I guess, another level of minutia would be like the level of individualization. Like, we think about this a little bit. Like, if I want to split hairs, I'm getting more individualized. If I want to, be a little more simple, I'm getting less individualized. But like, I can do a body part split, like chest and tris, back and bis, legs and shoulders. That's my split. I do that, 3 days a week, or sorry, 6 days a week. So I run through that twice. Or I could do, a split like hour bias, but we would probably write like an A/B split. So 4 days a week. One day is upper push, lower pull. The other day is lower pull, upper push. And then same thing on the other 2 days of the week. Can get the same exact outcome, weight loss and muscle gain wise, for beginners and intermediates, for 90% of the people that you're working with running those programs. Or you can do upper lower split. Like, literally does not matter for the most part. When it starts to matter, it's like you said, JT, it's like, all right, let's take some other, maybe more important things into account. Like, what is their lifestyle? What makes sense for them? What can they handle intensity wise and volume and training wise? Like, doing one full day of chest for me fries me. Like, fries my chest to the point where, like, I can't move. Like, I'm like, oh shit, I'm so sore.
Yeah.
It's impacting other things that I want to do. And also, it's like, for all these people, again, it's realizing that, like, there are other goals in mind that impact the program. Like, when you look at a research study, the only goal is seeing what's the difference in muscle gain. Like, just as an example, right? So I'm looking at two programs, I'm looking at two scenarios, and I'm looking at, all right, who gains the most cross-sectional area of lean tissue? But that's not the real world for, again, 90% of clients. There's other things that we want to train, right? Whether it's, mobility and movement options that they have available, whether it's strength, whether it's speed, whether it's power, whether it's endurance. There's other things on the table that are important that we want to train, right? So it's like, we can't get too hyper focused on building muscle, right? And like that dictate everything we do within the program, because it's not the only thing at play here.
Yeah. Because it'll happen regardless. If, like what we mentioned earlier, the pieces of the house, the nutrition, right, the sleep, the stress management, all those things are in place, you will build muscle. Right now, if you're trying to lower the number on the scale, just make sure the nutrition piece is a little lower than what you're normally burning. Right. So I think it's, when you say it does not matter, I want to clarify it matters, because, like, as long as it's being done, right? If it's followed to a T, it'll matter to the point where it'll give you the effect that you want. I think that's the point that you're trying to make there. And also, I want to be clear with the coaches. Like, you should, I mean, maybe not should, but I think it's still valuable to learn the details. It's just a matter of, like, putting it on paper. You don't have to actually put it on the program, but just, like, learn about it, because it might matter.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I think understanding the minutia, understanding things to the nth degree, one, it allows us to better, like, have a better bullshit detector and know when someone's saying something that's complete nonsense. But two, I think it gives you a better appreciation for the simple stuff, and it gives you somewhere to go. Like, if I read and understand triphasic, like, I might not run it with a gem pop, and, like, hand up, I have, and it was dumb. But, like, people got stronger. People still, it's not like it didn't work, but also I could have just done, like, some pause goblet squats or some pause front squats, and they would have been, just as strong. Or just, like, straight up just do front squats, do lunges, and they would have got just as strong, just as powerful, because they were new to training. But it allows you to see kind of this full window of progression. It allows you to have a larger menu of options. So again, like, my personal bias is keeping things simple. So I'm going to start simple, guess and check. So cool, we're starting simple. Again, this is why it's important to, like, test and have objective measures in your program. Like, are they getting better? So are they gaining weight? Are they losing weight? Yes? Cool. Let's keep doing it. No? Cool. Now I have something to change to. Right. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, they're not actually building lean mass, and, they say their sleep's good. I'm looking at their Whoop, just checking out. They have a dietary recall. It's looking good. Well, let's kick off some calories. We're still not maybe gaining, maybe do like an ultrasound body comp, and, like, we're not getting a ton of lean mass. Well, cool. Like, let's look at the volume of the things that we're doing. Right.
Yeah.
Let's look at our proximity to failure. Like, now we can start to get even more granular about, like, the things we have in our program, such to do all the sexy stuff. We can do drop sets. We can do myo reps. We can do all this. We can do BFR stuff, like whatever. Like you do all this kind of, different things because I understand the full bandwidth of what drives muscle gain or fat loss.
Yeah, for sure. And to call out with what you just mentioned, there's a lot of things that we can't control, right? And that's again, most of those things are outside of the weight room. We can control it through conversation and guidance, which is why we're a coach. But
Mhm.
one thing maybe we can talk about in another episode, like not all exercises are made the same. Like what you mentioned, like some exercises or certain programs tax you differently, right? Neurologically, physiologically, all these pieces that we should understand as a coach. Like for example, what you mentioned, if they got to a point where they're doing a 5x5,
Mhm.
right, and then there's a certain stimulus that comes from that, then you have to have a conversation in terms of like what you need to change from a nutritional standpoint to make sure that stimulus is the effect that we want, right? So those pieces do matter, but like you mentioned, they only matter at the certain um, part of their training age, right, or a certain extent of their training age, and even like if it's a 0 to 1, because I know a lot of
Mhm.
coaches here that are listening in a corporate class, you're getting people who have been coming around um 5+ years, and then you
Yeah,
got some members who are like 0 at 0, right?
literally.
And then now is a question. You're like, okay, so that sounds nice. How simple I go? How complex do I go? And I think it's just a
Mhm.
matter of um, understanding like what you just mentioned, like understand the mechanisms of what things you can manipulate, because now within the programming itself on the whiteboard, it might look very simple. But then
Mhm.
when you talk to the members who have been coming there, now you're able to tweak it in to or make those tweaks
Mhm.
to be optimal for them. And essentially now you're individualizing a group class.
Mhm.
That's how we're able to um, play with these stimuluses and give them the effect that we want. And I'm going to change the word weight loss to um, fat loss. I don't think.
Mhm.
I mean, weight loss, I think, is in the scope that we shouldn't be um, talking about, because I think weight loss, in my opinion, is like you're talking about 500, 600, 400 pounds. Like I think there's more of
Interesting. Okay.
a psychological um, aspect to that where we play a part, but I think there's a bigger part of like the mental health space that should
Okay.
be in that conversation. You know what I
So
mean?
you look at those. So you look at it as like just a completely different thing. So like,
I think so. In my opinion, I mean, like weight loss, I think when people say it, I actually think they mean body fat
they do. They do.
loss.
Or
And the
like,
people
yeah.
that we talk about, like, I don't think I've had anybody that's been like 400 pounds plus come to me and say they want to lose weight, right? And if they did, I think that's out of my scope. Like, I think there's more like, let's have that conversation,
Yeah.
you
We need a
know?
doctor. We need a dietitian. We need
Yeah.
a, yeah,
So
more involved.
that's
That's a
weight
good
loss,
call.
I think.
It's a fair
Um,
call. People
so yeah.
people definitely say it interchangeably. Honestly, the more we talk and the more I think about it, for again, even for some of the athletes I've worked with at various levels, for most of the Gen Pop, when people say weight loss, when people say muscle gain, they actually probably mean the same thing.
Mhm.
They just want to look jacked. Like they actually don't
Yeah.
give a shit if they gain more muscle. They just want to
Yeah.
look jacked.
And a lot of that, I
Like
think it's the what comes from that, right? They probably feel
yeah,
stronger. They feel more fresh. They have more energy. I think that's what's connected to whatever weight loss is, because
Mhm.
common things I hear is, yeah, I felt like that. I felt when I was 150, when I was in college, I felt good. So then, okay, you just
Yeah,
want to feel good
yeah.
then.
And
You don't need to be
you think this is
150.
yeah exactly. Yeah, or like I need to gain like 10 pounds of muscle. Like what? Like you just want to look good with your shirt off. It doesn't matter how much muscle you gain. And
Right.
some of it for a lot of people, like, is going to be losing a little bit of body fat. It's just body recomposition. Like that's what
Yeah,
people are after here. And again, like
exactly.
our training, like you said, as long as we're training consistently and we are training with a relatively moderate proximity to failure, let's say like 2 to 3 reps to failure. We're doing some work that fall in like a quote unquote hypertrophizing zone. So I'm doing like I don't know, 3 to 4 sets or 2 to 4 sets of 6 to 15 that are challenging. I'm doing some strength stuff in there. I'm lifting consistently. My lifestyle, I'm active. You're checking that box. So again, for 90% of the people, if you're doing that stuff, you're checking that box. Now it's, what does my diet look like? Like, what does my nutrition look like? Is that the consistent piece? Because again, we're going to say this 1,000 times, like that's far and away what matters the most here.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Mm-hmm.
what does our diet look like? For our body recomposition goals. And I guess body recomp is basically just that, right? It's fat loss and muscle gain. It's, can I look jacked?
Yeah, look, Jack, feel good, feel strong,
Yeah.
and those details that you mentioned. There's ways to manipulate those variables a little bit more as a coach, right? And I think just to give an example of what I just mentioned in terms of like that weight loss conversation, as a coach, we should have that conversation and not assume what we just talked about too. Like, oh, this
Yeah.
guy just wants to lose fat, because I've had two examples. They I had an initial conversation with them, like, hey, they're big people. I said, hey, what do you want out of this program, right? And they said, I want to lose weight. In my head, I was like, wait, okay, maybe looking better, like we just talked about losing body fat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I had a deeper conversation with them, like they were pre-diabetic, like they needed to lose weight to
Yeah.
make sure they're not in this zone where I,
Mm-hmm.
very little about. So it gave me an understanding of like, okay, my next question is like, do you now have a relationship with your doctors and all those things,
Yeah.
which there wasn't. So now it gave me the opportunity to say, okay, let's do this, but let's make sure all the other things that need to be considered that I can't talk about because I know nothing about it
Mm.
are in those conversations with your doctor, right? So now I have a good relationship. Going back to like referring out, you still got to have that conversation. We can't assume people just want to
Yeah.
lose weight and feel good. I hear that, I see that, and like, no, it's talk to them, right? That being said, how do we know it, but then like understand, going back, kind of bringing this back to the beginning of how do we know these details, and then when these details matter, and how do we apply it to the people that need to have it be applied to.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I had a different example in mind, but one just popped in my head of like personally, like a personal example of like, all right, of splitting hairs, and you don't need to split hairs. Like when I first started weightlifting, one of my first programs that I ran, like under a year of training in the sport, haven't even done my first weightlifting meet yet. Someone was passing around like one of Dmitry Klokov's like weightlifting programs going to like some Russian championship. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Like what, like doing like a literal lifetime lifter since he was a child, world champion, Olympic champion, one of the best weightlifters, at the time, 105 kilo class, like just jacked Russian man, training twice a day, 4 to 5 ish times a week. Like, yeah, I'll do that program. As someone who's been weightlifting for less than a year, like slammed myself, absolutely slammed myself. Also, didn't really know the technique of the lifts. Like, what am I really doing, right? So, like, that's a prime example of a moment where I split hairs and actually got a negative training outcome.
Mm.
Like, it was literally just a waste of time. Like, I didn't get stronger, I didn't get better. I just got really fatigued and really tired. A great learning lesson, like an invaluable learning lesson, I guess, if I want to spin it positively, but really it was just a massive waste of time and resources, because I didn't need to do that. And again, that was like an ego driven thing of like, I want to be really good. I want to be better. Here's someone I think is great in the sport. Here's someone who's super popular. Let me just do that. Right. And this is where, meeting someone where they're at is, one of the most important things that we can do consistently as coaches is like, bro, you just need to squat a couple times a week. Like, probably doesn't even matter the reps you do. I think as long as it's challenging, you're probably going to get stronger, because I was that new to the sport.
Yeah.
Like that. And that's like, again, thinking about our clients and matching their training age is like let's not get super crazy with the minutia and splitting hairs from the jump. Like, again, some of it's my personal philosophy, some of it's my personal bias, but I think like while we can, let's just let the simple stuff work. Let's run that till the wheels fall off until it stops working.
Yeah. No, 100%. And my thought from that example goes to consistency. I think we always speak to consistency is the key. I think as coaches, we have to do a better job of understanding what our clients can be consistent with. And it's not just working out. Obviously, if you're having a conversation with you, they want to work out. And we know that they need to be on point with their nutrition. They need to be on point with their sleep. They need to be on point with their stress management. All these things, but we can't say these things are everything you need to do. So I think we need to have a conversation, or through our conversation, which one of these things can they be the most consistent with? And then that starts to build that relationship, right? And then I had some numbers just throwing up. I was literally working out this morning. I'm like 3, 6, 12, 10s, 4. That sounds nice, right? And what that means in my head is like a lot of programs out there, they work in 3 months, right? If not less,
Yep.
right? So for example, your F45s, your Barry's boot camp, and if you take that class and you have a 0 to maybe 5-year training age, if you take it, it'll work for about 3 months. After that, you're probably going to be going through the diminishing returns, ordeal. But now if you think about a program being 3 month, 6 month, 12 month, decades, and then forever, then as a coach, you can start to plan accordingly to make sure the program is not just losing weight in these 3 months, unless it, they need it for whatever reason, 3 months. But like, how do we start to think in those chunks, aka periodization, to make sure they're not ever going to be going to that plateau or diminishing returns, but start to understand like, hey, 3 months, simple, like you mentioned. Let's start, let's hammer in those goblet squats, baby. Let's get those bench press going on, right? 6 months, okay, maybe they're getting a little bit more advanced. 12s, decades. Let's look at the big picture. How are they starting to develop from this? So how do we, as a coach, big picture, zoom in? That's when body composition will start to, play the biggest role or that's when body composition will happen if you think of the long-term view in those chunks.
I like that. Yeah, playing the infinite game, right? For our non calendar based clients who are coming in, and there's no end in sight. In an infinite game, there's no winning or losing. Like the only goal really is to stay in the game. So for us, especially for general population folks, the goal is can we stay in the game forever? So that is, yes, we're going to have different goals along the way, right? Maybe this phase is weight loss, this phase is strength, this phase is speed, whatever. We're going to have different goals and things are going to change. But how can we keep training and keep, this healthy lifestyle up consistently? Like that is far and away goal number one. Can we stay in the game? So yeah, no, I love that call, and that's where it's like, hey, how can we periodize? And that doesn't mean doing foundational hypertrophy strength, foundational hypertrophy strength. It means how can we intentionally manipulate our training over time? Whether it's sometimes to keep it interesting, sometimes to keep it varied enough so we're continuing to adapt, sometimes to change it to meet them where they're at based on their time of life, whatever. Like working around schedules, periods of stress, that all falls in that periodization bucket. And if anyone listening was around me when I originally read, God, I cannot remember who originally wrote Finite and Infinite Games. I know Simon Sinek has a version that I read as well. I'm sorry.
Oh, he wasn't the original?
No. No, it's like a game. It's a game theory book. It's dense. It's kind of boring.
Oh, game theory's been on my algorithm. It's been going over my head. So,
in my opinion, people just like throw that out because it sounds sexy. A lot of people don't actually get super deep into it. But I was really annoying when I originally read that book, and that's all I would talk about. So I'm sorry. I would not shut the hell up about it. I was super, super annoying about it. I was just like, everything was fine. I had infinite games. So
I love it. I love it.
no.
It's like the good cop, bad cop conversation. But I think going back real quick, just to call out like what you just mentioned, like we need to phase out our training program. But I also look at those numbers of 3, 6, 12, 10s, 4, like we need to periodize like how we teach people of the
Mm,
everything outside of the weight room, right?
yeah.
If they're coming to us for the first time, we can't just say, "Hey, you can sleep better, eat better, stress, manage stress." That's gonna overload them. I'm
Yeah.
barely even good, optimizing that myself. So how do
Literally.
we expect them to do it? So how do we periodize the not only the training but how we
Mm,
coach them? That's gonna be the biggest thing. And I used to say that early on in my career, like I just want to train people so they don't need me no more. And it
yeah.
started to change where I'm like, even I need a coach right now because there's some shit like
Literally.
I don't even know what I'm doing
Literally.
right now.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I think there's more to it than training. Training be one of them. Like we know this stuff. We love this stuff for a reason. A lot of our clients don't. Some may do, but a lot of them don't. So how do we like keep them
Hmm.
um in the know, and they have to be in the know.
Hmm.
That's why we're coaches. So um yeah, for me, I was like, how do I make sure I don't want them to need me, but how do I make sure I can still guide them forever?
Yeah. No, exactly. Because I like the point you brought up about you needing a coach,
Yeah.
right? Like they might know enough. Like real, it's not that much. To be honest, it's not that much information. If I want to lose weight, they might know enough. They might like it's not that hard to know. Like, or it's not rocket science. Like I need a caloric deficit. I need to, and if I'm trying to maintain lean mass, like I need to eat enough protein. So I'm doing gram per pound protein. Like I'm eating enough fiber. I'm training. I'm doing some strength work. I'm doing that consistently. I'm getting 10K steps a day. Like I'm doing all that stuff. I know it. I got it. But then it's like, all right, like, well, how do I make a change in the right way? What if I want to go harder? What if I want to do less and try to maintain? Like, what do I do? Like, that's where a coach comes in because again, like goals are always going to change. Like people are always going to change, what their current motivations are, what they're currently
Yeah.
shooting for. That's where a coach comes in. And even for someone like yourself, someone like myself, you know, there's plenty of times I'm like, damn, I wish I had a coach right now because I
Hmm.
don't really know where to go.
Yeah.
I could go in 4 different directions and I need a non-biased expert opinion here.
Right. And it comes with trust, right? Because
Yes.
nowadays there's too much information, right?
Yes. Exactly.
There's literally too much information where you can find any answer you want. And as a coach, we're just closing the gap. Like I can't if a client comes to me and they ask me a question, you could probably Google it, but can I close the gap of the knowledge that they have currently to what I know and what is the truth? I feel like that's where our value as a coach is coming to now is like we're just trying to
Yeah.
close the gap of understanding and giving the information that they just need, right? As opposed to
Yeah.
like losing weight, building muscle, protein, like
Yeah.
you're gonna get overloaded.
Yeah. Like I could do my own taxes, but I'm not trying to go to jail. So I'm gonna pay someone who knows what they're doing to do it.
Yeah, I was about to say something, but probably will go to jail. I do that
Oh my goodness. All right. So we went through a freaking journey on this one.
a little bit, a little bit.
We went on a journey. I think in there are some good points. But like for folks listening who went on this full journey with us, what are some questions you hope they walk away with?
I think when that you mentioned are we over complicating the program that we're
Hmm.
giving to our client athletes groups, and it's over complicating based off of the training age, right? If it's
Yeah.
training age is 0, very very little, and you're thinking about all the minutia, the details, and you're probably overcomplicating it,
Yeah.
right? Um, and second, the the house, right? The pieces that are needed to build the second story. What are the conversations like with our clients that they can make a change for outside of the weight room?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They need to be consistent conversations. We can't assume they're just drinking water every day. Have had clients who I've had 5 years, and I said, "Hey, how much water are you drinking?" Like, "Oh shit, yeah, you're right. I haven't drank water." Like, can we just continue to have these conversations throughout? And they might know it, but I know a lot of stuff too that I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
I just forgot.
Literally. Gosh. Yeah, it's always good coming back across like a paper information or whatever, an exercise. You're like, oh yeah, I used to
Right?
love that.
Yeah.
I do that all
Exercises
the
too.
time.
Is that what you said? Like exercises too. I'm like, oh shit, I
Yeah.
remember halos. Like, oh, I remember I did that all the time. How come it's gone? Right?
Oh damn, I forgot about those.
God damn. What the hell? Go.
Oh damn. All right, let's end this plane. JT, where can people find you?
Find me on Threads. I be tweeting on there, and IG CoachJT.mp3.
Damn, that boy tweet his ass off.
Damn.
You can find me on IG and Threads in Nashville. You can find the show on IG, Threads, YouTube, all the things at Pushin Performance. No G. As always, if you're rocking with the show, please leave us a 5-star rating. Leave us a little review if you're really rocking with it. Share it with a friend, a colleague, a family member, anyone you think could level up. Maybe a hater.
Please.
Help us get
We
some more
of those.
haters, man. We need more haters.
Yeah.
I think that's holding us back. One day, JT.
One day.
One day.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
All right. We'll catch y'all next week.
All right. Peace.
Put my foot in the heat, roll in the rock, put my